insurance, he would have lost his grandfathering on his insurance. His insurance would have skyrocketed. So now, you got CAMA, FEMA, the town of Caswell Beach, and insurance restrictions. So.
I sold a house on Cary Beach, and the one thing that they required was that they wanted to know they could put a pool in. And so the issue that we came up with was that the current owners of that house had to actually fill out the permit. And so really they were not guaranteed because they couldn't actually pull the permit,
well, one
correct?
Thing is, as the purchaser,
Mm-hmm.
you can pull the permit. And you pull it, there's a portion on the CAMA minor permit that says you're either the owner or you have other interest. You can check other interest and send a copy of a contract with the owner showing that you have a purpose to request this permit. And then the permit is either issued or denied, but it can be put in the potential owner's name.
But they actually had to reapply, from what I was told, that the new owners would have to reapply after they took ownership. So there's no guarantee that they're going to get that.
Not if they would have attached their contract.
Right. No, because then it would have been in their name. But because they put it in the original owner's name, then
Right.
they would have had to have done a permit transfer, which costs the same amount as a permit,
Right.
which is ridiculous. Just go ahead and do the signed contract, put it in with your CAMA minor permit, and get it in the potential owner's name rather than put it in the...
You can also assign they could have
Agent,
assigned a general
authorized agent.
contractor.
Or a general contractor.
The general contractor could have pulled the permit.
For them. But now what type of time frame? Because that's where we got really bogged down in, oh my gosh,
Normally
trying to
it
make
takes
sure.
up to 25 days.
Right.
It can. I mean, it used to be a minimum 14 days to 25 days that you could issue a permit. But now, this past fall, I think it was October, CAMA no longer makes us advertise the permits in the paper.
Oh, good.
So,
That's great.
so now usually as soon as I see that you've got your return receipts back, or if they have signed the papers, I can actually issue it within 8 days.
Oh, wonderful.
So, say you do want to build a dock, they apply for a permit and on the waterway. Where can they place the dock at, and what is
Okay,
that,
so
within
then,
15-foot setback?
Yeah,
mean?
so
What is
then
that
on
all
the,
about?
when it comes to docks, piers, things of that nature, you have a riparian corridor. This riparian corridor runs with the angle of the body of water. So it may not go straight out from your property. If the water starts to curve back in, it may get angled at a 45 degree. What you have to maintain is 15-foot side setbacks within that riparian corridor. If you need to encroach into that 15-foot side setback, that's where you need the permission from your adjacent property owner. They have to actually sign off and initial the part of the form that says, I wish to, I don't wish, there's a part that says I do wish to waive my 15-foot side setback, or I do not wish to waive. So that would be the only thing that may restrict someone from building up here. And in some instances, we have some areas on Montgomery Slough.
Over by the trailer park. Remember those? They're like this.
Where there's some piers that are going straight out,
Yes.
and it's like, the canal is actually turning, and so these piers have to go here, and if they did that, it would go straight into your
across the
neighbor.
property of the neighbor, right, to the left of the crab
So,
dock. Yeah.
in those instances, Division of Coastal Management looks at it on a case-by-case basis, and if they can find a way that it doesn't affect the properties, or if the majority of them are straight instead of angled, and if there's enough water at low tide, they will issue
But they will not issue a permit for someone, and all of this has to be on the lot of the buyer. That it can't, so, but they will not issue a permit that will force other vacant lots to never be able to have a dock.
Right, they'll take those more into account now than the way they used to.
Yeah, the way they used to, yeah. So, yeah.
So I hope your neighbor never maintains their pier, and then they'll have to take it down and make it reform.
Or if you get a storm and you lose your
Don't
pier.
call them up and say, hey, you're about to lose your pier.
This is another silly one, but I'm known for that probably. How do you get around legitimately? Nobody would ever do the other way. No, not a good old boy would try that at all. Also, if only, I'm thinking about a list of if only I could do this and this, or how to get around it legitimately this way. Does that seem silly? I don't know if you could do it, but you guys are saying certain things and asking questions.
Get around what?
What are you trying to get around?
Whatever, I take it back.
Well,
We would never, nobody would in here would ever do that.
Jim, that's a private discussion.
I'm sorry.
It's just like what they said.
Do it.
It was just like what they said earlier about the 50% rule. If you do improvements to a property, and then you close that permit out, you wait an entire year before you do another 50%.
Thank you. I didn't say that.
I know you did.
Okay. We're right there.
Usually have a 15-bedroom, 13-bath house over a period of time.
No, because they don't, the ordinance won't allow that.
Yeah, okay, now, here's a question I get asked all the time. I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna go down to Lowe's, and I'm gonna buy my ceramic tile, and it's 39 cents at the, on sale, and then I'm gonna put it in myself, and I got the windows, somebody gave me the windows, so that's zero cost, so I'm gonna do all this work, and it's gonna be $5,000. How do you feel about that?
People try to do that all the time, and we tell them they still have to come up with a labor cost and a materials cost. They have to give us something.
Well, they could give you something. They have a
But
friend
it
that's
has
gonna
to
work
be.
for.
How do you know when they're doing work in their house?
The dumpsters out front.
The neighbor tells.
The new appliances are in the yard.
The old appliances are
The
in
old
the yard.
appliances are there.
Now, that's another question, is the 50% only applied to permitted stuff? Because you don't have to have a permit to change out the carpet, you know what I mean?
There's a.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's
What I'm talking about, cosmetic things like, flooring and,
Normally, we're not looking at that very heavily, but if we do see windows being changed out and kitchen sinks, all of a sudden a cabinet and a dumpster,
Yeah.
it's something that may raise a flag, and we will go and just ask the people. They can either give us permission to enter or not. It's up to them. But a lot of times, people do like to talk.
Or they want you to measure.
Yeah.
Where's that gas?
Yeah, that's a nice list you have here for
I like
substantial
it.
damage, improvements excluded and included, that's really nice to go by. Put additional, when you did that 15-foot setback, how many homes became,
I want to say, I think Josh and I said there's somewhere between 30 and 40 homes.
That's great.
But it just depends. A lot of those areas, I was measuring off this map right here. So I was going to just give you some indication. I can measure off of it, but it doesn't make it accurate. So when you call me up and you say, I'm looking at a place on East Beach, and I want to know where the static vegetation line is at 58th Street, then I go to this map here. And this is 58th Street curve. The static vegetation line is about 20 feet off of that front property line. So you know those are not buildable at all. We lost so many houses up in that area because the line was
Now,
so
a
close.
think what Bobby was trying to ask before is that we've heard rumors that we can move the static vegetation line.
The static vegetation line stays with the beach in perpetuity forever. The only way we got some changes from the '03 to the '98 was because I think back when it was imposed, they told us they would look at it in 7 years, they would give us a decision, and they did. They let us use the '98 line. We proved our point. We felt like it was too restrictive when they came down there and walked the beach. So we keep the '98 line until we have a major storm that moves the shoreline more landward, or until we get a minimum 30-year beach renourishment
Right.
project. If we can get that 30-year beach renourishment project, it's not that we lose that static vegetation line. That line stays with us. But on some of the vacant lots, you can use what is known as the static line exception rule. And that says that as long as the town has gone before the Coastal Resource Commission and shown them that we have an engineered beach project for minimum 30 years and can prove to them where the money to fund that project is coming from and where the compatible sand source is to do that renourishment, then they'll say, okay, well, your town can now use the static line exception rule. And that says that you can build in line with your adjacent property owners, no further seaward than them, and a maximum 2,500 heated square foot home.
How come we're stubbed up on this?
Because the Corps was designing our project and the federal government had all the cuts, and so our project kind of went by the wayside. So this past fall, town council decided to look into hiring a private engineering firm to come in and see what the cost would be to design the project. And they're not only looking at beach renourishment, they're also looking at dredging Montgomery Slough and Davis Canal to make those more navigable.
And then it would be an assessment to the owners like it was in 2000, the renourishment program. If you were
Right.
beachfront, you were X, second row, you were X. Everyone paid a little bit.
Everybody would pay a little bit, plus the accommodations taxes will help
And-
fund some.
And then what about the sea oats? Are y'all encouraging people to plant sea
I
oats?
encourage people on the ocean front to put up sand fencing and plant sea oats. The town raises sea oats, they sell them. Sand fencing does require a
I was gonna say.
exemption permit. There's no
From
fee
FEMA.
associated, but we want to make sure that they put it in properly so that it doesn't harm the turtle.
And where does the fencing go exactly on that?
The
If you look
fencing,
at the camera line.
yeah, the fencing.
You can do that in my house.
If you want to put fencing in, say you had some vegetation here and the ocean is starting to come in, you can put your sand fencing. It can only be a 10-foot length. It has to be at a 45-degree angle, and it has to be a minimum 7 feet apart. And if, say, this were a dune down here, and this was the top of the dune, and then this was the toe of the other side of the dune. Once you get to the toe of this side, if you have people walking across your property all the time to get to the beach, you are allowed to put up parallel sand fencing to keep them out. FEMA doesn't allow fences in the setback or seaward of the vegetation line. People want to put fences up, but that's not allowed. The only thing that's allowed are sand fencing. So
And
if
y'all
they're
are
having
pushing,
trouble.
y'all are pushing a
Pushing
foot,
60.
is it a foot a year on the sand, like after a, like I know I was at a beach
Down
ball
at the
having-
west end of the beach, they've had a lot of erosion recently in the 6,600 block. And
Well,
we
they came
have,
zipping by a beach ball one day. I was out there having an open house. It was after the full moon, high tide. He came whipping by and he was pushing some sand around. Oh, maybe I shouldn't be saying anything about this on the backhoe. He was all kind of like in the parking lot. down
oh, in
closer
the parking
to-
lot, they're allowed to
He
maintain.
came over to, yeah, like to where
Yeah,
probably
well-
St. James